this ongoing controversy involving Donald Sterling of the Los Angeles Clippers. He's the owner. He said some things in private that got out, and oh my gosh, everybody agrees the man has said some things that are quite racist, but what's actually going to be done about it? We thought we'd check in with ABC reporter Alex Stone about all this and sort of get the very latest in the developments. Okay, so the NBA is going to meet today in advance of the Clippers game. What do we expect to happen there?
Hey, Brian, well, at 2 o'clock, they are going to come out and announce whatever they have decided on this, at least in the short term, what they've decided. Likely a fine and a suspension of some kind against Sterling. Anything beyond that would take time. Taking away the team from Sterling is something that not all of the owners in the NBA would agree with. Mark Cuban has come out and said, look, you can't take away a team from somebody just because you don't like what they said. Some owners want Sterling gone. They want nothing to do with him, but you've got the other group saying you can't go that far. So that would get into antitrust and all kinds of things. So the quickest, most straightforward way of taking care of this in the short term before tonight's game is likely a fine and a suspension. But if they fine him $1 million, $5 million, those would be record fines against an owner, and he's worth $1.6 billion. You're going to have a lot of folks here in L.A. saying, wait a second, that means absolutely nothing to Sterling, and they're going to be calling for more. So likely a suspension would go along with it.
I have been reading that the NBA can only expel an owner for financial inability. In other words, the financial inability to run the franchise, for gambling or for game fixing. Beyond that, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, it would be very difficult. Now, the financial side of it, they could potentially make that claim now that so many of the sponsors have bailed in the last 24 hours that as we go down the road, if the team couldn't sustain itself, names like Kia Motors, Virgin America Airlines, Mercedes-Benz, Yokohama Tires, all of these companies saying they are done, some of them just temporarily until there's some resolution to this, and some indefinitely, and they say they aren't coming back. Mercedes put out a statement saying the comments allegedly made by Sterling were deplorable and completely against the values it promotes. Kia called the comments reprehensible. Very strong language from the business community, and that could be a major issue, not just for the Clippers, but the NBA. This money that was coming in is now gone.
Alex Stone, ABC News, is there in Los Angeles as this story continues to develop. And at 2 p.m. today, the NBA will be making a press conference available live at WMAL.com. Alex, you mentioned Mark Cuban, and I think that there are some other owners that say, listen, we should do what we can to try to get this guy to sell, but we can't force him to. They can make life miserable for him, though. Has there been any discussion about possibly the league stepping in and saying, listen, we're going to make all these players free agents now that they know what kind of man they're working for? Let them now go decide once again whether they want to sign a contract with him. Is that on the table?
There has been some talk within the community about it. We've heard a number of people say they could do this. The NBA has not said that they could or couldn't. And they would likely have to wait until the end of the season, after the playoffs and championship, depending on how far the team goes here, that they would have to figure all that out later. So we wouldn't likely hear that today. Chances are that they're not going to make everybody a free agent today, and then the team walks off the court tonight. As a team, they have come together and said they thought about boycotting Sunday's game in Oakland. They decided not to. They did make the silent stance by wearing their Clippers T-shirts, their warm-up shirts inside out. They may do something similar tonight. They wore black armbands on Sunday as well. They may do that. The players have said they're worried about tonight, that they feel like it's not going to be home sweet home.
Yeah.
They're worried about the protests that are planned, although you have to imagine those are going to be mainly outside. We'll be in Staples Center. That people who paid for tickets and likely had tickets before this happened, a lot of corporate folks, probably aren't going to be doing a lot of protesting tonight, but we'll have to see.
All right, so go back to these comments from Mark Cuban. I mean, if there is an NBA owner who is thought to be, fairly influential, well known by the American people, it would be Mark Cuban. What is it that he said, and where does he come down on this?
Well, he essentially says, and I don't have a direct quote, but he essentially says that you can't take away a team from somebody just because you don't like what they said, that free speech and that there would be, and others have brought this up as well, antitrust issues with a league just willy-nilly taking away a team from somebody and saying, this is ours, you no longer own it. So he's in the minority of the owners. It seems like a lot of owners are more on the side of we've got to do something this is bad for the league. but he is in a very vocal group of owners,
as he always is, right?
That you could take my team away just because you don't like what I said.
Alex Stone, again, you're in L.A. I've made this observation before. In Washington here, they talk about the Redskins all year long. This is a football town. In New York, they talk about the Yankees and the Mets. It's a baseball town. In L.A., it's a basketball town. Usually they're talking about the Lakers, but I've got to think that they are absolutely obsessed in that town about this story, about the Clippers. What's the climate like?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk here right now. I would say L.A. is a Dodgers and Lakers town, and then you've always got the Clippers and the Angels, who are kind of secondary. Lakers definitely dominate here. They play at the Staples Center, both teams. The Staples Center typically is lit up in purple and gold colors, not in red. That most people who you would say who plays at the Staples Center, they would say the Lakers play there. Oh, yeah, and the Clippers play there, too. So they've been overshadowed for a long, long time, but this definitely has a lot of interest. One, because Sterling has such a long history here, and he's had a number of racism claims against him. Yet the NAACP was about to give him a Lifetime Achievement Award at a ceremony next month. They held a news conference yesterday defending their organization, saying they have pulled back that award. They're not going to do it. Asked how they could give him an award after he's been sued with racism involved several times. They said, well, he's made an amends with the community, that he had been giving money to scholarships and endowments and to the NAACP. Seems like in some ways money may have played a role in him getting that award. They say they're going to yank that back, and he won't be getting it.
Alex Stone, ABC News, thanks for joining us on a story that continues to develop. I'm sure that we'll be hearing a lot from you.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alex.